Is EcoTricity's EcoTEC Roundup show from New Zealand's only carbon zero certified renewable electricity company. We only source from wind, hydro and solar, and we are the leading supplier of electricity to EVs in New Zealand. Switch today at ecotricity.co.nz. Welcome back to another roundup in the world of clean cars and green energy. I am super glad you joined me. It was 2017 when Faraday Future first unveiled its FF91 electric SUV at CES, and since then we've watched huge amounts of drama as it's tried to bring that car to market. The company has pushed back deliveries more times than we can remember and has been at the centre of several financial crises and scandals. Its reverse merger last year is currently being investigated by the US Department of Justice and the US Securities and Exchanges Commission due to several instances of inaccurate statements. And this week we learn that the company has made a new regulatory filing stating it's pushing back initial deliveries to, quote, the third or fourth quarter of 2022. The filing explains the company needs to raise more capital to survive. We remain doubtful if we're actually going to see any production cars. The week after Tesla published its Q2 earnings, a number of rival companies have posted theirs. This includes GM, whose second quarter saw a 40% year-over-year cut in profits. Achieving an adjusted profit of $1.14 per share, GM's disappointing quarter was blamed on ongoing supply chain issues and COVID-19 shutdowns that took place in China during the second quarter. But GM also reported its autonomous vehicle subsidiary, Cruise, lost $500 million in the quarter. Despite now charging for rides in San Francisco, Cruise has lost GM nearly $5 billion since 2018, reiterating that GM's future lies with electric vehicles, even though GM's timing for the launch of upcoming electric vehicles remains quote-unquote fluid. GM's Mary Barra said that GM's top priority for this year is getting new battery production facilities online and making cells. A short distance away, GM's rival Ford posted its quarterly profits too, showing a rebounding from its terrible first quarter figures. All in all, the company reported slightly more second quarter revenue than GM, $42.2 billion versus $35.76 billion for GM, with an adjusted earnings per share of 68 cents. That's less than GM or Tesla, but a major improvement on Ford's $3.1 billion net loss in Q1, primarily due to a massive loss in valuation of its stake in Rivian. Reporting that Ford's recent restructuring is now complete, company CEO Jim Farley says that Ford is on track to produce 14,000 EVs globally this month and is on track with its goal of producing 600,000 EVs in the next 12 months. That said, Ford warned supply chain issues and inflation could hurt its Q3 earnings. Sono Motors has officially unveiled its production design for the Sion solar electric car, a vehicle that it says will enter contract production in the second half of next year. With some significant spec upgrades over prototype variants, the production Sion now features a 54 kilowatt-hour lithium iron phosphate battery with a claimed 305-kilometre, 189-mile range. There's 75 kilowatt DC quick charging capabilities and an onboard 11 kilowatt bidirectional AC charger. But what's particularly interesting is the 456 solar half cells embedded on the body of the Sion. Sono Motors says that will extend the range of the car by an average of 112 kilometres, 70 miles per week. Sadly, the price has now increased to €20,900 from €21,500. Rivian has announced that it will be laying off 6% of its workforce in order to help the company focus on ramping up production of the R1T and R1S. Like Tesla's continuing layoffs, Rivian CEO RJ Scaringe blamed record inflation and rising interest rates for the layoffs, and in an internal email sent to employees apologised profusely for them. Stating that Rivian is well positioned to execute on its strategy, Scaringe explained that Rivian needs to focus on sustainable growth and simplification of its product roadmap. Unlike Tesla, which has been trying to get employees to sign severance agreements that were less than required under law, Rivian is giving its laid-off staff 14 weeks of regular pay, as well as health coverage, COBRA benefits, mental health and fertility benefits through to the end of this year, not to mention job placement and equity vesting for this quarter. Several hundred employees will be affected by these layoffs. Volkswagen has officially started series North American production of its ID.4 electric SUV at its facility in Chattanooga, Tennessee. While the facility has been carrying out pre-production runs now for several weeks, it's now switched to customers' vehicles, with Volkswagen expected to ramp up production volumes on the line to 7,000 vehicles per month by the end of this year. As we detailed last week, North American ID.4 models will offer a choice of rear or all-wheel drive with an 82 kilowatt-hour battery pack at launch. A new lower-cost model with a 62 kilowatt-hour battery pack will join the production line later this year, something Volkswagen has confirmed will command a lower MSRP, but hasn't exactly detailed what that will be. Chattanooga-made ID.4 cars will feature predominantly North American-sourced parts. BMW has issued 2 different recalls this week, affecting the BMW iX and i4, with one of the 2 recalls resulting in a warning to customers not to drive or charge their cars. The first recall, affecting 6,930 iX and i4 variants, revolves around a software glitch that can prevent certain critical information from being displayed on the car's infotainment screens when in valet mode. Affected cars can still be driven, but the second, smaller recall, involving 56 iX and 27 i4, has resulted in BMW telling affected customers not to drive or even charge their cars. The problem stems from an irregularity during battery manufacturing, which supplier Samsung SDI says caused a cathode piece to break off within the cell, causing potential short circuit in affected batteries, something that's eerily similar to the Bolt EV and Kona EV battery fires. To check if your car is involved, contact BMW service in North America at 1-800-525-7417. In recent years, police forces around the world have switched at least some of their fleet to electric, with everything from Teslas to Nissan Leafs getting verified for police use. The mainly rural Gloucestershire Constabulary in the UK has the nation's largest electric police fleet, with 21% of its fleet now all electric. But this week, the Police and Crime Commissioner for Gloucestershire, Chris Nelson, said that the force is cautious of adding more electric vehicles to the fleet due to the performance of the Nissan Leafs and Nissan ENV200s currently serving there, or rather officers' reactions to them. Range anxiety and charging concerns were listed as primary worries, but we'd argue the vehicles chosen aren't perhaps the best choices for a modern police force, and that there are more alternatives on the market today. Oh, and thanks to Fully Charged for letting us use their footage of the fleet for this story. Ahead of launching the 2024 Prologue EV, Honda has released a new video showcasing how the vehicle was designed. Underpinned by GM's Ultium platform, made available to Honda through a mutual agreement, the Honda Prologue design team heavily relied on virtual reality to design the car's exterior and interior, allowing it to rapidly prototype and change vehicle features on the fly in the virtual world before settling on a design that could progress to the physical one. In addition to saving a lot of time and money on the design process, using VR allowed Honda to utilize teams from Japan and the US to more efficiently collaborate, especially in a world where travel is still sometimes challenging. The car will officially launch for the 2024 model year. Before we get to the last 2 stories, just a quick question. Are you about to buy a new electric car? Well, if you are and you live in New Zealand, you should totally check out our very own buyer's guide at ecotricity.co.nz before you sign anything. It is packed with all the information you need to make sure you pick a car that's right for you, as well as including plenty of details about the incentives you can get for buying one, charging providers you can sign up with, and of course, how to get charging and green power at home. So make sure you follow the link below and start your journey today. It's well known that one of the biggest challenges to getting people dumping the pump and going electric is consumer education, and having car dealerships who know EVs. The simple solution might be just to ensure that dealerships and their salespeople actually get proper training. But this week, General Motors launched something a little different, EV Live. It's an online interactive platform for prospective EV customers that provides one-on-one instruction from an EV specialist. GM says prospective customers can schedule a free live tour with an EV specialist or view an on-demand live tour. Participants can hear and see the specialist, but the specialist can only hear prospective customers. In addition to answering questions about EVs in general, specialists can give more information on specific models. If you've signed up for one of these sessions, I would love to know how it went. And finally, As a brand, Mini has come a long way from its humble beginnings as a handful of models produced under the Morris badge, and according to its modern-day parent company BMW, is going all electric. We've already got the Mini Cooper SE EV, but this week, Mini unveiled a new concept car that it says previews its first production electric crossover. Called the Mini Aceman, not to be confused with its past concept, the Mini Paceman, the four-door crossover leans heavily into sustainability, but in a way that's more buzzword than practical. There's a knitted recycled textile interior, a minimalist dashboard, a steering wheel that looks like it's wearing a steering wheel cozy from the 1970s, and a glass roof with a Union flag motif. It is great to see more EVs come to market, but Mini, please, let's have a drivable production one, not another bizarre concept. Please? And on that note, we are done for the day. Before I go though, do make sure you've hit the notification bell so you don't miss out on the latest in EV news from this channel. And if you haven't already switched, do consider switching to New Zealand's only carbon zero certified renewable electricity company. It is super easy to make the switch, and in doing so, you'll help wean New Zealand off dirty energy and onto clean green power that will keep the land beautiful for your kids and their kids' kids. I'll be back soon with more awesome content, as will the lovely Gavin Kiwi EV Shoebridge, and I'll be back next weekend for our usual roundup show. Enjoy the rest of your day. I'm Nikki Gordon Bloomfield. Kekite. See you next time.